Well, the income inequality is somewhat paradoxical because if you compare countries, if you compare American states, even if you compare Canadian provinces, there is a good statistical correlation between income inequality and rates of personal crime. Why there should be that correlation is up for debate. It may be that in highly unequal societies, one of the things that the poor have to do without is decent police protection. But there are other explanations, such as that young poor men feel more aggrieved, have more of a chip on their shoulder in societies where it's rubbed in their faces how far behind they are. The paradox is that if you, instead of comparing one country with another, you pick one country and you compare one decade with another or 1 year with another, those periods of time in which there's high inequality don't see the rates of personal crime increasing. And the United States would be a perfect example. The 1960s had a much more equality than we have today, but it was during the 60s that the personal crime rate skyrocketed, and it fell back to earth starting around 1992. It has fallen pretty precipitously since then, a period in which income inequality went up. So, and in fact, the last 3 years, the years of the Great Recession and the newfound concern with unequal income distribution, top 1% and so on, the crime rate has continued to fall. So I would not identify income inequality as a cause of increased crime in this country. Certainly, if you have zones of anarchy, if there are areas in which drug lords have free reign, if that is accelerated by stand your ground laws that make it easier for people to take the law into their own hands and protect themselves against hallucinated threats, or for that matter take revenge on their perceived enemies, to the extent that's tolerated, that could locally shoot murder rates through the roof. On the international scale, certainly if political discourse is dumbed down, certainly if you have a presidential candidate, a president who is more impulsive, hot-headed, has a sense of honor and revenge and manliness, then history shows that they are more likely to respond to international threats with war than the kind of president who can count to 10, step back, weigh the costs and benefits, and come to a more reasoned deliberation. We see that for presidents like Jimmy Carter. As much as he is reviled, no one would call him impulsive or hot-headed, and he did keep the United States out of what could have been extremely destructive wars at the time. And then George W. Bush, of course, would be the polar opposite, famously led by his gut, famously opposed to cool deliberation, and got the country into two pretty destructive wars.